business owner? Entrepreneur? Want to learn how online marketing can improve your business?
Your questions.
Our advice.
This is Not a Real Job.
Welcome to episode 85 of Not a Real Job, the podcast that helps you turn the things you love into things that make you money and is hilarious in doing that. I am Chris Van Patten, and I make websites and apps and things in Barcelona.
I'm Joel.
Cool.
Yeah.
How does that feel? What's it like being Joel?
It's all right. It's tiring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is going to be a good show, Chris.
Why not?
I'm just not feeling it, you know?
I don't know because I am feeling it.
You're feeling it? What have you been up to today? What has gotten you in the podcast spirit?
Been working on my new project, which we have alluded to on this program. And it's just about ready to go for the first group of testers. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That is exciting.
That went out into the streets of El Born, which is the neighborhood I'm living in here in Barcelona, and just kind of walked around and enjoyed the relative warmth of the weather. And yeah, there you go. Now, what has you feeling the opposite?
It's just, I really meant to get a lot of work done yesterday and didn't. So that means that as soon as we're done this, I'm probably going to spend the rest of my day working. And it's not so much that I mind working. It's just I really painted myself into a corner here of the volume of work that I've got to get done has me a little stressed. And I was going to take tomorrow off as a vacation day. And my reason for doing so was that there was going to be a big party tonight. And I was gonna take Monday off, give myself a little Joel time, post partying. And the party has been postponed / canceled. So now I'm battling with the idea of, do I just not give myself the time off that I really had been looking forward to and just work, or do I still take a bit of tomorrow off? I mean, I still got to work all day today anyway. So I don't know. That's where my head's at right now. It's just kind of feeling pretty stressed out on this gross snowy Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that if you were an American, we don't have days off. So that would be sort of an easy solution. But I know you guys typically only work a couple days a week, right? Like already. So I don't know. I
mean, really, it's typically just Mondays. So I mean, if I take Monday off, that's the whole week right there.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the Canadian lifestyle.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
follow your heart,
I guess. What does your heart tell you? That's as Shmi Skywalker once asked Anakin. Episode 1 reference.
Yeah,
classic.
I picked
film.
that one up. What are you drinking today? Are you drinking today?
I'm obviously going to be drinking all day.
Okay.
I'm drinking whiskey and ginger ale. I accidentally bought a maple rye. I guess, as Leah informed me, that the word maple was pretty large on the bottle, and I don't understand how I missed it. But I did. I bought maple rye, and it's straight up gross. So I'm mixing it with ginger ale to, obviously I'm not going to not drink it. It just requires...
It is still alcohol.
Yeah, it's alcohol. I mean, I'm not going to waste it, but it's pretty gross. So I'm mixing it with ginger ale.
Now, see, when you say maple whiskey sounds interesting to me. That sounds like something I might like.
I mean, it's pretty sweet and it tastes like maple syrup and whiskey got mixed together.
See, that doesn't sound bad. That sounds actually ideal.
Yeah.
As somebody who has a lot of trouble with brown liquors.
Yeah. Yeah, you might like it then. I don't. Unfortunately, there's a bit of distance between us, so I can't just give you the rest of this.
Well, not for much longer, there's not.
Right, that's true. We're gonna see each other in a few short, a week and a half?
Right about, yep.
As of the release of this podcast, it'll be just a few more days.
It's very exciting. Are you excited? I'm excited.
I don't think I'm capable of feeling excitement anymore.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
It's still winter here.
Mhm.
It's probably going to be winter for, at least another 6 to 8 months. So I don't think I have the capacity to feel hope.
Mhm.
And excitement requires a lot of hope.
Right. See, I'm here where it's, a cool 16 degrees Celsius and it's quite lovely. So I am hope abounds. We'll put it that way.
Mhm.
Lots of hope.
Yeah, I hear a change of scenery can really do a person good. So I'm trusting that once I'm in London, this whole situation's going to turn itself around.
Wait, you're going to London?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Paris.
Are we meeting in Paris instead?
I mean,
Let's do that. I'm fine with that.
okay. It's more romantic,
It is, and that's what our relationship really needs. I think this whole podcast has really been a will they, won't they for 84 episodes.
Well, the subtitle is, it's not a real job. A modern love story.
A modern love story starring J and C Smooch Bros.
Well, on that note, I see you've got some notes here.
What are you drinking today? Did you tell me what you were drinking?
No, I'm drinking an Estrella.
What's that?
It's a beer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple notes in the document. I don't know. I should we do this or should we just focus on follow up? You fucking kidding me? The audio dropped for a second. Is it back?
I don't think I dropped. I just wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay.
I think we both just went a minute without saying anything, thinking that the connection had dropped. Oh man, this is quality podcasting.
Idiots. Man, yeah. Anyway, I forget what I was saying. Something about...
You've got some notes.
Yeah, I got
notes in the doc.
I got a note in the document here. Yeah, so something I've been doing. The reason I'm going to be in London is I'm giving this talk for a travel trade group, teaching them about internet, social media marketing, and stuff like that. So as we've talked in previous shows, I've been spending a lot of time reading, kind of getting my homework done, learning as much as I can about the history of advertising. So, tying in, the legacy of the last few hundred years where we've been, measuring the effectiveness of advertising, what works, what doesn't, how to persuade people to buy things. So I've got lots of notes in all these books that I've been reading, but I wanted to create, like a document digitally that I could refer to. So what I did was I took photos of all the pages in, the books that I've been reading where I've got underlines or notes, and then created a fancy hands task for each book and had them transcribe the highlighted sections or underlined or otherwise noted sections in all those pages. So now I've got Google documents of all my notes and highlighted sections from all these books that I've read, which has been super, super useful. And I've been able to pull quotes from that and put them in my my slides for my presentation. So just a neat little thing I've been working on.
Cool. Do you have any books in particular that you might recommend? I know we're not at the gear section of the show, but
honestly, the big one where, most of the advice is coming from is actually the two major books are Scientific Advertising by Claude C. Hopkins. It's from 1923 and has some of the best advice on advertising I've ever read. I think I've talked about it before on the show. It may have been a gear pick at some point. And the other one is Confessions of an Advertising Man by David Ogilvy. So those are big, big recommendations for me. I think you can learn a lot about advertising from those, even though they're both decades old. They are just as relevant today as they ever were. And that's kind of the big feature of this talk I'm giving. It's supposed to be about social media and about social media trends. But the big point that I'm trying to discuss in the talk is that the core tenets of advertising are still as useful as they ever were, and that focusing on trends is actually quite dangerous because you forget about the legacy of people have been spending a lot of time researching and finding out what works, and for us to kind of throw all that out just because Facebook exists is ridiculous. So read those books. They're good for you.
So out of curiosity, what does Claude C. Hopkins does he have a chapter about the Facebook newsfeed algorithm changes? Like what's his take on that?
His take on that is that, how to write something that piques someone's interest. It's what's so frustrating to me is that, in the 1920s, they had to take out print advertisements in the same newspaper on the same day in the same spot, but do 2 different ads and then test how many people sent in the coupons from those ads so they could test the effectiveness in advertising. That's how much, and they had to have people count the coupons that came back. Like, that's what testing used to be. That's how difficult it was to learn something about advertising. We've got, computers that allow us to do testing on the fly perfectly, and so many advertisers are too lazy to do it, or think that you shouldn't be able to apply math and statistics and testing to advertisements. I mean, your modern copywriter doesn't want to hear about what the research says, which is absurd. What the Facebook algorithm changes, it means that your media is shrinking. The reach for that publication has shrunk. What do you do to get people? It's like, the Facebook algorithm changes is like finding out that the magazine that your target audience reads, where you've been advertising this whole time, suddenly has lower circulation. What do you do about that? The same. It's all the
This is turning into a rant very quickly.
It is. Well, I'm just so frustrated. I think digital marketing approaches 100% charlatans and idiots. And I think there's a very, very small number of people who actually care about advertising, who know the first thing about advertising, who are in this business. And it just frustrates the heck out of me, when people are going to conferences or attending webinars or reading books by people who have no understanding of the fundamentals of advertising, but think because they've spent a lot of time on Facebook that they're at all authorities on what causes people to buy things. So I'm just frustrated to be in a business that is just so full of stupidity.
Well, I mean, I take a little bit of umbrage because I think, my qualification as a website developer is pretty much exclusively that I'm on the internet a lot. So
yeah, you've been reading FARC since day one. That's your
yeah, exactly.
Is FARC still a thing?
Oh, it totally is. They're still there. Slashdot too still exists. Who knew?
Fascinating. I haven't been on either of those websites.
Boing Boing, another one that's still around.
Boing Boing's still a thing. I really don't like Boing Boing these days because I get why they do it. It's probably the only way to be, it went all clickbaity. Yeah, it's all clickbaity, and there's absolutely no content in their posts. So it's just grabbing a page view on their website, and then at the bottom of a very pointless summary, they essentially bury the link to the actual content.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of sites do that really bothers me.
But Boing Boing used to have some credibility, but it's rapidly disappearing.
Yeah, and what disappoints me is, I mean, I could go on about this for a while, but some of the people who I respect and enjoyed their work are still there, still going through it, and still, and now pushing out crap. So I don't know. It's disappointing. But anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, if we compare Boing Boing versus say Kottke, which I think are in pretty similar businesses, like Jason Kottke, at least, obviously it's kind of link baity. Obviously he wants you to come to his website or view his RSS feed before you go on to the other page, but he makes it extremely simple in his RSS feed to find out the link to what the actual content is. But Boing Boing has made it, I think, increasingly difficult to just find the link to the story that they're talking about. And they provide no added value. I don't know, if you're going to do a link roll, there's better ways of doing it than what Boing Boing has gotten into these days.
Yeah. I mean, I recently read an article on a website that will remain nameless. It's The Verge, hint, hint, who published a summary of an article, I think it was about Tesla or something, and then didn't link to it at all. Now, normally when they do something like that, they have it's pretty well hidden, but there is a source link on the page. It's like right above the comment. It's like a really small box. on like 9-point font or something. But in this case, they didn't do it. So it's like a 2-paragraph summary, and I want to click through and read the original source, and there isn't one. So that's kind of terrible.
Yeah, that's infuriating. I mean, honestly, it kind of tells you, the people, this almost ties in a little bit to last week's show, that the experience that is creating something new for the first time. And I think in digital culture, whether it's the shingy type idiots to your regular blogger who don't know what it is to have an original idea, who seems like they've never experienced it, so they don't see any harm in taking and reusing and repurposing other people's original ideas because they can't imagine what it is to create. So they think that no one else has ever created. They think that all culture is a remix when there actually are people out there who are capable of having ideas, maybe not for the first time ever, but are certainly capable of producing content that you could call original in some way. But so much of digital culture has become this idea that curation is at all on the same level as creation, and I think that that's absurd.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is value for something that is well curated, but I think even that we don't see. I think Kottke is a great example of I think a site that is a curation based website, and I think it does it really well. I think,
but he is able to infuse his curation with his own personality and his own knowledge. And like a good curator of a museum or an art gallery, he's able to use his expertise to draw connections between things
I would
he's
say the
seen
same
before.
For Gruber.
Yes, absolutely.
Marco Arment to a lesser extent, because he's not super active with blogging, but I think when he does, it's kind of the same thing. But there, for every example of that, there is a BuzzFeed that is doing 20, GIFs that they don't have permission to post from the original creators, and are trying to spin it into feeling like something new, and in fact it's not new, it's just terrible.
Mm-hmm. And I would even put BuzzFeed in a better tier than what Boing Boing is getting to, or some of these other blogs that have really, you almost get the sense of having given up. At least BuzzFeed is putting a massive amount of effort into creating monetary value from other people's content. By giving their own posts, they've actually invested some level of time and effort into creating posts, yes, that are just taking other people's content, but putting enough of a spin on it, or adding enough to it, that there's some reason for you to go to BuzzFeed versus any other blog. But the ones that have just gotten into linking with no context and then burying the original link is nonsense. Yeah,
and I would add to that I think what it is about Boing Boing in particular, and I guess we're putting them on blast here. And sorry about
they're never going to find out.
Yeah. But I think what it is in particular with them is that we expect more because they have a history of doing more and being more. Which makes it especially disappointing to see, it's one thing for one of those shitty Facebook link bait pages or something to do it, because, you kind of expect that they're going to suck. But for a site that has a long history and a very important history in terms of early blogging and the World Wide Web in particular, Boing Boing is massively influential on blogging, and to see them go down that route is a little disappointing.
Yeah, especially because they've had, I remember, I don't know if she's still doing, but Maggie Kurth Baker used to write a lot of great long form original content for Boing Boing. Shani Jardin has written some good stuff, like actual original content, and Corey used to do it all the time too. And I'm missing, I'm sure other good examples, but it just, there was an expectation. You and I and many other people have been reading Boing Boing for, certainly over a decade now. And it just seems of late, when I see a headline in my RSS feed that seems interesting, when I click to expand it and see that it's from Boing Boing, I'm actually feeling a sense of disappointment. I hope that headline is going to link me to Kottke or Daring Fireball, because I think I'm going to get some useful context out of it, versus Boing Boing, where it's going to be a headline I'm going to have to scour their incredibly busy page to find the original link.
I would also add to this that I also feel this not only with certain websites, but with people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on Twitter, because Twitter is kind of my social platform of choice. But I'm not going to put anyone on blast, and I'm sure it's not anyone listening to this podcast. I know it's not, but there is a frustration with people who you followed for literally years. I mean, we just passed Twitter's 9th birthday. I've been on there for, gosh, almost 9 of them.
Yeah, you started before me, and I started late 07.
Yeah, I started late 06. So it'll be 9 in December for me. So I've been on there for a long time, and it's disappointing to see people who you built relationships and built connections with, and even in some cases friendships with, online friendships. But still, people who you value their opinions and their content, and to suddenly see them over the past 1 to 2 years turn their feeds into just retweeting BuzzFeed articles and
Mm-hmm.
not BuzzFeed in particular, but retweeting articles and hashtags galore that are meaningless and stupid. Yeah, I mean, you saw my little hashtag rant. But yeah, I think there's something about the web that is changing right now. And I hate to be one of those, get off my lawn, I'm an old person who likes the way things used to be type thing. And, for all the negative changes, there are certainly positive ones too. But I think that turning content into a marketing tool, while great for marketers, I think is going to have negative consequences for the overall quality of the content that is produced.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can hear the people shouting back at us of, well, if they're pivoting in this direction, it means that's where the money is, and content has always been a marketing tool. I mean, how many ads they sell in a magazine has always determined, the page count for that magazine, how much content they're going to have to produce. So I mean, there's nothing necessarily new here, but I think we can still fault them for a reduction in quality, even if the money's pushing them in another direction. I think, I think a reduction in overall quality is still something that a publisher could be indicted for.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, as I'm just about finishing up this app here, or at least getting it ready for a beta. Like, now that the actual product is in a good place, or a relatively good place, like, what does my marketing look like? And so, of course, in the travel space, there are thousands of travel blogs. So how do I compete against that?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to go the low route, cheaply produced content with a mass appeal that may not be the best quality, or the other direction, which is more expensive, slower, higher quality, but is it at the cost of viability? And I don't have an answer yet. That's something that I'm thinking through a lot. But certainly seeing the trends of content marketing and what I think is overall a decrease in quality. Do I want to counter that? Does it make sense to? I don't know. It's the me as a product, CEO sort of thing. Someone who wants money, but also somebody who has some semblance of values that I want to see persisting. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think not enough thought typically goes into, are we creating a product because we think there's money to be found in it exclusively, versus are we creating a publishing platform or a product because we think the world needs it? And I think a lot of questions can be answered, with that metric. And it's seeming like, again, to put Boing Boing back on blast, is that the way it's gone is it seems to have been this admission of, okay, we're not providing anything unique here, so let's just try to collect some of the money that's passing through similar programs like this, versus I would even say a BuzzFeed, which created an opportunity to get, I mean, frankly, in many cases, a very specific liberal point of view across. I think they've actually said fairly blatantly that they do have a liberal perspective, and they're using content to try to, it seems, affect, an actual cultural change. And I think, and they're using content to do that. And I think at least there's something admirable in that. Kottke, again, is he doing something that anyone else could do? Well, probably not, because he is so good at it. But I think he would see his role as a blogger and as a content curator of actually adding something new and useful to the world. He's helping to surface things that otherwise might not be seen. So I think with your product, the similar thing, like, are you creating something that is good for the world and will make people's lives better? If so, what type of content would best express that? Is it the cheap, bulk, crappy route? Or is it, helping to change people's lives and make traveling easier? And I think, making it more of a value judgment versus a monetary one might help steer you in a certain direction.
I couldn't have said that better myself.
Well, thank you.
That was beautiful. Tearing up over here.
All right. Well, with that, I think it's time we got to the important part of the show, which is the part where we try to make money.
Yes. After all of that, let's try it out ourselves.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's working great so far.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very pleased.
Okay. Excellent. So this is the section of the show where we tell you things that we've bought and that we like, and then we put affiliate links on them so that if you buy the same things, we can make fractions of a penny. So if you would like to support the show, I don't know why you would, but if for some reason you would like to, I'll promise to burp less if you do. Then you can buy the things that we talk about, and then we'll get a little bit of money from it. So what are you putting on this gear section this week?
Well, so at this very moment, I'm going through my old Amazon
right, because
orders.
They don't have online shopping in Spain. I think we've discussed this before.
Well, they have it, but I'm not going to get a Prime membership again. And listen, I'm sorry, but 2-day shipping or no shipping, am I right?
I agree. I do next day. I pay the $4 every time for next day.
Excellent.
I'm not an animal.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going back all the way to August 2011. But this is something that I still have, not with me in Barcelona, but it's something that I still own and use regularly back home. And this is the Brother HL2270DW wireless monochrome printer. So it's a laser printer, which I like, means that it lasts forever without stupid expensive inkjet cartridges. It's wireless, which is really nice. Makes it a little more complicated to set up, but it's worth it because you can kind of move it around and not worry about wires and things like that. It is black and white, but it's really high quality. I love it. I use it for all kinds of things, and it's relatively small for what it is. And I like it. It's built like a rock. Again, I've had it since 2011, so almost 4 years now. And yeah, honestly, I'm not sure if they still make it. So if they don't, well, they do. They still make it. So we will put the link in the notes, and you can buy it yourself. Highly recommended. And yeah, what are you putting in?
I'm putting in a book by Dave Trott called Predatory Thinking, a Masterclass in Outthinking the Competition. This book came to my attention because I watched his absolutely incredible talk at, what was the conference called? Predatory. He did a talk for copywriters, actually, called Predatory Thinking for Copywriters. Anyway, Dave Trott is a modern advertising legend. Definitely in the old school, the better school, the school of advertisers who actually thought that there were good ways and bad ways of doing advertising and actually measured the results of those things. So he's got a book that talks about how you can solve problems, advertising problems, by thinking differently. And he's got some great advice. I'll put also in the show notes, not just the link to the book, but also to the talk that I watched of his. It's an hour long, and it's well worth your time if you care at all about advertising.
So he's not one of your old fogies, your 1920s cool prohibition ad man, right? He's a modern guy.
He's more modern. He still works in the business today, but he got his start in the 80s, so he's certainly more modern. But again, I think the best advertisers of the century were the pre-digital advertisers. I think there are some amazing ones. Droga would be a great example of modern advertisers who certainly know their stuff.
Drogo?
Yeah, what did I say?
That's what you said.
Yeah.
You're saying like Khal Drogo?
No, oh my god, no. The Droga 5, founded by David Droga.
Like from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
God damn it. Anyway, there are some great modern advertisers who know their stuff, but I would say the internet age, and again, it suddenly sounds like, or at least I'm against the internet or something, and that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, old man.
Yeah.
You don't get what the kids here are into. We're hip, you're lame.
Yeah. I guess what I should say is that what the internet and social media has done is I absolutely love the democratization of culture and everyone having a voice. And all I am suggesting is that don't think that advertising just began with the launch of Facebook. People have been doing this for a long time. And if you want to be good at advertising on Facebook, it starts by being good at advertising in general. And I guess that's what I'm saying. And there's been just a lot of people who are coming at the problem the wrong way by approaching it from, okay, here's the media we have. So let's calculate everything we do based on that media versus thinking about, okay, here's the problem we have. Here's the tried and tested and true ways of persuading people to take action. How do we apply that to a particular medium? And I just think there's a good way and there's a bad way of doing things. And a lot of people are doing them the bad way. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Trying to educate you for once in your goddamn life, Christopher.
Listen, old man,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you do over there at the nursing home, but here, we internet kids we don't need your help.
Yep.
Something like that.
Can you tell that I'm staring down the barrel of turning 30?
No, I can't even fathom that being that old. That's like basically dead, right?
I feel basically dead. I'll tell you that much.
Well,
anyway, tell the fine folks where they can find us online, since I don't know anything about the internet.
So we're all over the place. We are on the World Wide Web at notarealjob.com. We are on Twitter at twitter.com/nargcast. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/notarealjob. You can also email us, info@notarealjob.com, or we'd also take your questions at notarealjob.com. Joel and I are on the tweet stream. I am twitter.com/Chris Van Patten, and Joel is /Joel Kelly. We're on iTunes. If you want to review the show, notarealjob.com/iTunes will get you to the right place. And we love reviews. We love hearing from you. So please, no matter what, send us a tweet, send us a post on Facebook, email, smoke signals, whatever you can think of, semaphore, we'll do it all. We love to hear from you, and we love to hear your suggestions, ideas, questions, hopes, dreams, fears, etc. So I think that does it this week. And I'll talk to you soon, Joel, and I'll see you soon as well.
I guess. Probably. We'll see.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I hope you all love the show, as this is our last.
Forever.
Bye, everyone.
Adios.